at some point of time, we've all thought of shifting abroad, to get a job abroad, to have a nice life. I remember when I was a kid, I was told about brain drain, where people from our economy fled to developed countries because we are a developing country. So, people from these developing countries used to go to developed countries for better pay, for a better life, and that continues today as well. People from India are fleeing to countries like Switzerland, to Europe, to London, US, Australia, and New Zealand, even. Why? Because in search of a better life, of a better pay. And today we're going to talk to somebody who has experience in applying jobs abroad as well as securing a job in actually 3 or 4 countries. He moved to Ireland, but he is here in India now, and we are going to talk to him to know more about how to shift abroad, how to get a job abroad, and whether there are some challenges, how different is the work culture there, and what are his personal experiences. This podcast is in 3 parts, so I request you to watch all 3 of them. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet, and like the video and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update from FinMom. So let's get started. In all our previous episodes, we have talked a lot about saving money, investing money, using the power of compounding, and everything that has to do with saving and investing. But where do we get the money which we save and invest? Earning money is also an art. And these days, the aspirations of people to go abroad, to find a job abroad, is really increasing. And that's because when you go abroad, the amount of salary that you get multiplies speedily, and the amount that you get is actually much more than what you'll get in India. I'm not saying there are not enough jobs in India or people don't get a huge salary here, but the amount that you get abroad is, of course, more. You've expenses, you've taxes, you've lots of things there as well. But you still end up saving more when you convert it into Indian currency. So today we have a very special guest with whom we're going to talk about how to shift abroad, how to get a job abroad, how to settle there, and what are the challenges that he faced when he was there. So, introducing Sambhav Pati. So Sambhav, can you just please introduce yourself to our guests?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me, Pragya. I hail from a small city in Puri. I finished my education from Delhi. I got a degree in law, and post that I started my career in financial crime. I pursued my career in financial crime.
I worked in Bangalore for almost 11 years, and that's the first time after those 11 years I got an opportunity to move abroad. Like any other journey of somebody who's moved abroad, my journey is not very extraordinary. I applied for a job abroad, they interviewed me, and then I finally moved there. Now, starting from how I got interviewed
and how my whole transition was, definitely we're going to talk further in this particular video. But definitely this was something which took a 360-degree turn in my life, and definitely I would like to share my experience with everybody so that everybody can weigh their own pros and cons before they make this decision of moving abroad.
That's right. So 11 years in Bangalore. Where did you start your job with?
So after I completed my degree in law from IMT University in Delhi, my first job was with a company called Mori Global, which is an LPO, legal processing outsourcing, and over there it's the first job where I got exposure to this money laundering, tax evasion, fraud, and different kind of financial crimes, which piqued my interest. Post that, I found a job in EY, which again, I'm sure you will share my LinkedIn profile in the bio, but definitely I got a job in EY, and post that I finally joined Standard Chartered in 2017. And all this whole time my profile remained the same. That was the financial crime. I fought financial crime in a little way possible.
So you've specialized in anti-money laundering?
Anti-money laundering, yeah, financial crime is a big umbrella under which money laundering, tax evasion, fraud, terrorist financing, cybersecurity fraud, different kinds of antisocial activities that, in fact, any kind of illegitimate money that ends up being introduced to the system, which can be got through corrupt activities, organized crimes, and so on.
Wow, so this is a trending field, and you should really explore the field of anti-money laundering and financial crime, but we'll do that later. So what made you search for a job abroad to begin with?
Well, I come from a very middle class family where definitely I don't know, I'm not speaking for a lot of people, but definitely I come from a background where if you move abroad, it is termed as some sort of success, which obviously after moving there I understood it is not. but that was my motivation, definitely. And while applying the jobs itself, I always
consider it to be a long shot.
Okay.
I never considered, because generally to move abroad, people go complete some kind of education there, and that is when they end up getting some kind of temporary visa.
Right.
They get a job, then they make it permanent. It's a big process, and a lot of expenditure is incurred
Right.
from our end. So keeping that in mind, keeping my commitments that I had with my family, I did not expect all those things to happen. So definitely from my own angle,
I kept applying for jobs, and it did not happen overnight. So I would say my entire journey of applying jobs rigorously abroad and landing a job took around 9 months.
And how did you go on applying? Which platform?
So the only platform that I used was LinkedIn. There is no other platform, and there is nothing magical that happened under the carpet. It's as simple as that.
I applied for jobs in LinkedIn, and you may ask that, do we have to look for jobs which says visa sponsorship required?
Right.
No, you do not have to look like that. A lot of jobs do not even mention out anything about visa sponsorship, but you just apply if it is relevant to you.
Okay. Now, I have heard from somebody that when you change your location in LinkedIn to say London or Ireland, there is a greater chance that you start getting job offers from those places. So,
Yes.
did you do something like that, or?
No, nothing of that sort. What I made it very clear in my profile and in my resume was being very honest about where I'm based. Because the thing is that ultimately it is going to come out, because if somebody is going to consider you to move from one country to another country, you're gonna have to have full disclosure. And any employee or boss employee relationship you want stable, it's better. Honesty is the best policy. Transparency is definitely something that I would advise everybody maintains, because whether you get a job or not, that's another thing. But what matters is that you being completely honest, and there's nothing, because a lot of times you may think that the interviews that have been taken by people abroad is very different than interviews that are taken here. Obviously the basic questions are very similar, like tell something about yourself and so on, but they definitely observe your body language and your demeanor.
Right.
So it's very important that you are confident in what you're talking about. And there have been times also where in an interview I did not know something about a particular concept, or I could not explain, but that did not, and I ended up cracking those interviews as well. So that is again very different from the interviews that I have faced in India. In India, if they ask 100 questions, you don't give one answer also, you do not go to the next round. But it is not necessarily true over there. So that is something that I came across. And like I said, while applying for jobs in LinkedIn, the relevancy of that particular job you are applying to the profile you are currently engaged in, or your resume, has to be very, 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 very similar. And I also keep getting a lot of questions like, do we have to customize our CV for each job that we apply? That is something that's humanly not possible, because if you are rigorously looking for jobs, or you're applying for 5-7 jobs in a day, and you're applying through your phone, because nobody has time to sit and
You can't keep updating your CV.
So make your CV in such a manner that it is a bit diversified, and think of mentioning every little thing that you have done. For example, if somebody is in consultancy and you have worked in a cybersecurity project also for a very short while, please mention that, because a lot of times it happens that for a single keyword your CV gets picked up. Right. And when it gets picked up, don't assume that they have not gone through your resume. They have gone through. Even they know also you have worked for little 3 months, but they still would want to meet me, means there's some potential there. So never undersell yourself, have confidence, and what can happen that, okay, they will not select you. That's fine.
But once you start being honest, you have less to be scared of. You're more confident.
And my journey, I will be very honest, I applied for some 600 plus jobs.
Wow.
And over that, I attended around 33 interviews. With 33 companies. I got selected for 5. So that is the ratio. This ratio is all very similar to in India as well. India also is not that it's very easy to land jobs. I'm talking about good jobs and higher positions. So that's the ratio. But having said that, in the beginning, when I still remember my first interview was with this bank called N26 in Germany. It was based in Berlin. I thought my interview went really well.
Okay.
And I got a rejection mail in like 2 minutes after the interview. So the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of times in the beginning when you start interviewing with people of different countries, they are very nice to your face and you will think that everything went well, but there must be something that you're missing. So
Yeah, it's very important that you don't get demotivated in the first.
demotivated and also start introspecting and see where you could have gone wrong. You can never find out for sure where you went wrong.
Right.
I'm not talking, see, a lot of times you may even answer all the questions also right, but you still they may find somebody better fit, 100 other things could be there. So sometimes it can take practice for some people. I'm not saying it's for everybody. A lot of people crack it in the first go as well, but I was not amongst those first time crackers. So I definitely took my time. I self-reflected, introspected. A lot of times, like I also understood something, that there is something called oversharing, and that is not something that you should do in an interview, because that will attract unnecessary questions. Okay, which completely can deviate the discussion to a different direction, and it may sometimes not end up in your favor.
Yeah, stick to the questions and
Not just
to what you're
questions,
discussing.
And because a lot of times this interviews also will include questions related to your family background, related to which country you are from, whether you are married or whether you are single. Obviously, you have to be honest with all these things. But for example, don't mention maybe you have, how many dogs you have, right? Just mention about the very basic questions, stick to the question, and do understand that they're not really interested in your family background.
Right.
Rather, they are just being nice and they
It's
just want
just
to
a
know more
polite
about your
question.
profile. So that is something that definitely it took a while for me to understand what they mean when they ask something. Because a lot of times I expect they mean exactly what they're asking. So sometimes reading between the lines also is very important during interviews.
So did you feel that the questions that they asked during those interviews are any different from the questions that you get asked when you are applying for a job in India? Or is there any way that you have to be more prepared, or there's anything that you have to change in yourself or in your demeanor or the way you answer questions when you're applying for a job abroad?
Okay, when it comes to subject matter expertise, the questions are very similar to the ones that is being asked in India. Rather, they barely ask something about your work. If in the beginning itself you make a good impression in terms of, because the first question is anyways going to be about take me through a resume,
Right.
right? If that answer you give confidently and in a way that supplements or objectifies what the job profile is, there's not much room for much questionnaire or questions on those lines. Then they start getting interested, they start digging into like where you have done your education from, then the questions become very basic. A lot of times it is also important that while answering questions, do not be too quick, or do not try to duck the process. I may say there are times when you will know answers to the questions, and there are times when you will not know. When you do not know, just accept the situation, just be honest about it, and just assume that this job is not for you. A lot of times it may have, it's difficult to accept, but not every job is meant for you. Even in your same field, not every company is meant for you.
Okay. So while taking them through your resume, which is basically the first question, you try to also, in a way, justify how you are fit for the job, because you worked in
Very
the
important point, yes.
same industry
Yes.
and same sector, and you've done the job that
Yes.
or you are qualified for what they're looking for.
Right.
So basically, when you do that, and if you sort of justify that you fit for the job, then they don't ask much. They go back. to
See, it
basic
can go
questions.
either way, depending on the kind of interviewer that you get. But in my experience, there are a lot of times where I had literally heard this from the interviewer: you pretty much answered all my questions that I had lined up for this interview. So sometimes some interviewers may like it, sometimes they may think you're overconfident. I don't know.
Right.
It
Depends on the
depends on the interviewer, but definitely giving a very clear-cut reflection of what is there in the resume. Because let's face it, when somebody is taking interviews on a daily basis, they really do not have the patience to go through the interview.
Right.
But if you present yourself in such a manner and being very apt for that particular role, then that just saves a lot of time and effort from the interviewer side. And if you are joining as a consultant or a manager or whomever, you are going to have a boss. Right, most of the times this boss or the hiring manager is going to be the hiring manager. So if you give this impression that you are somebody who's going to make that person's life easier by taking up some of their tasks before even being asked, that definitely gives a very good vibe, and they think we can help each other like as a quid pro quo.
And during that conversation, they also understand that you're going to be a good fit for the company from the way you're speaking, your confidence, your honesty, and everything. So
this is something is also very important and stress on is the cultural fit for the company. So that is also something that they may question you about. How many friends do you have? How often do you travel?
Okay.
Do you take, like, when you travel, for how long do you travel? Where do you go?
So these kind of questions also have been asked to me,
Right.
and I again have been very honest about that. I definitely take one Europe vacation
And
in a year.
you've traveled quite extensively.
Yes, I always liked to travel. So, and I always at least 15-day stretch leave I take in a year. So that I also have been very upfront, because I also did not want to join a company where taking leaves is being frowned upon, and because obviously after working for 10-12 years, you are kind of like done with things that if you're joining a company, and the company also needs to respect you and need.
Lying about taking a leave or making an excuse, that's just
I see.
too yesterday.
It completely depends on who your boss is.
Right.
And what the,
But you would want
in
an
ideal
organization.
scenario, yes.
And the kind of companies that I have been engaged in, I have been very lucky, I guess, that I never faced an issue in terms of leaves. And that you can only do, Pragya, by being good at your job, I guess. So I got selected in one company in Ireland.
Okay.
I got selected in two companies in Poland, one company in London, UK,
Okay.
and the fifth company was in Czech Republic.
Okay, so what made you choose Ireland?
So I chose Ireland because of only one reason, because the person who interviewed me and the person who was basically the hiring manager, she was very sweet.
Okay.
And during our conversation, she made it very clear what the role is going to be, what her expectations are, and what mine would be. And I just found her very upfront, very honest, and definitely the other interviewers, I'm very grateful to them also that they chose me for sure.
Right.
But at that particular time, I thought this particular company that I am joining would be the best fit for my given my current profile, and the kind of opportunities that I expected to get here were definitely much better than any other company at that point of time.
And how was the whole process? Like, you started applying through LinkedIn, and then you were approached.
So yes, so I started applying. Jobs in LinkedIn, and I got a response from the HR saying that your resume has been shortlisted. These are some of the basic details we would want you to fill and send us. Then I sent it, and then my first round of interview was scheduled. My first round was with a partner. And my second round was the director.
Okay.
And as soon as my interview with the director got over, within 1 day, I remember I got a call at 11 p.m. here that I have been selected, and the visa process they will begin.
Okay.
So the process of moving to Ireland was fairly simple. So the company was supposed to sponsor my relocation and my work permit.
Okay.
So work permit is something that is called a critical skills work permit in Ireland, which the profile that I was joining in came under that purview. So that is the reason the company applied that on my behalf to the government of Ireland. Okay. And over here, this side, once I got my work permit, it took around 3 to 4 months. Okay. And then I applied a visa here, a work visa. Yes, so that costed around 15,000 rupees here, which is the same as a tourist visa to Ireland. That is only for the entry to the country.
So once you get the work permit, you apply for a work visa, and
Then you
you
move.
can book your tickets.
Yes. So as terms of then they also provided me a temporary accommodation for around 20 days in an apartment, because this company has several people moving from different countries. So definitely they have that kind of arrangement done over there. Then I finally let them know that this is the particular date that I would like to fly into Ireland. Once they confirmed, I booked my tickets. Obviously, when I got my work permit, I also resigned from my current
So you have a
company.
notice period.
Notice period. My notice period was for 90 days, and they were very patient, and they waited for 90 days. Once I completed that, and then I got my flight, I reached there.
I still remember when I reached there, it was very cold because it was the month of December, and it was very dark as well. And it was a very different experience. A lot of times I couldn't even believe that I was there, because and every now and then, so the locality that I was staying in, there were a lot of Indians over there. And everybody was shocked knowing that I got a job directly from India, and then did not come and study there. And
and most people sponsor their own work permits,
right.
go there and
Yes.
try for
So
a job.
definitely that was very surprising for me that was happening.
But at the same time, I was very grateful, and I always made sure that I do justice to that particular role over there, and I was very.
So you undertook all these expenses, and you were reimbursed after you.
Yes. I paid for everything, and once I went there, they have a tool where you can go and file for reimbursement. And my reimbursement, the cap was 2,000 euros, and that is how and all the
expenses, yes, including your applying for the visa and everything. The company took.
Yes.
So it's very important that when you're getting the offer letter and you're planning for joining a company, it's good to understand what all they're offering, what expenses will they kind of reimburse or incur, and all the expenses that you have to incur by yourself, you have to be a little
and once you land there are two documents, just like Aadhaar card. We have something called IRP over there. It's called Irish Residential Permit. That is something that costs around 300 euros. And that also was reimbursed by my.
Something like a social security number.
Sort of. There was something called PPS. PPS was free, but the IRP was something that
costed around 300 euros. And then again, to renew it in the next 8 months also, my company was the one which reimbursed it.
That was a nice conversation. So many interviews, so many applications, and then one dream job. It said you don't actually need luck so much, so that you need perseverance. And in his case, actually perseverance helped. We got to know so many things about how to update your resume, how to apply for a job abroad, and most importantly, never stop trying, because only if you will it will you achieve it. So after this episode, we are going to have a second and a third episode. The second episode is all about how he adjusted there culturally, whether there were any cultural shocks, how was the work environment, how was the work culture, and what does it actually take to survive in a foreign country. Stay tuned and watch the next episode. Like I said, subscribe to FilmMob and please hit the like button. Also, share the videos so that the message can be spread across. Thank you. Stay tuned. Bye.